Welcome into the Drake Toll Show. Day one, the coronation, the consummation, if you will. Westwood One Sports Network, and what a way to do it. Million people in the world to thank, including Addie Bates, the producer of the show today, and those who are making sure that we're on the air, and what a day it is to be on the air after last night in the NFL. I'm Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization, the Locked On Big 12 podcast. But enough of that and more of this. The Chicago Bears have scored again, and so have the San Francisco 49ers. This was reminiscent of 2018. You'll remember, if you're sentient, a Thursday night game between the Chiefs and the Rams. And it felt like Matthew Stafford was here. Patrick Mahomes had already been here, but this was the new age. Defense doesn't matter. This whole defense wins championships doesn't need to be the moniker in the National Football League anymore. Last night, that's what it felt like. That's how I felt watching these two teams square off. It felt like a Super Bowl caliber game in the same venue the Super Bowl will be hosted in, between two teams that just opted not to play defense, whether it be for injury issues or the secondary just not looking good at all, or the quarterbacks being elite. Defense was not the theme of the game and did not need to be. That's where we start, because it's the most recent thing in my psyche. Before I lay my sweet head down on the pillow, I watched greatness. And what I think the biggest takeaway was for me from this game is, despite a 42-38 loss, the Chicago Bears are legit. The Chicago Bears are a Super Bowl contender in 2025. Division champions. And if there was any doubt in your mind, any question of, is this team good enough to contend in the postseason, I think last night that was put to bed in front of America. It was put to bed in a loss in front of America that Caleb Williams, you could argue, is the best quarterback in the NFL right now on the run. Last year, huge issue was pressure, taking sacks. This year, those numbers cut in half, and it's not just the improvements on the offensive line. It's not just the improvements with Ben Johnson. It is Caleb Williams' ability to evade pressure, throwing for 330 yards last night, but still was overshadowed by the San Francisco 49ers and Brock Purdy, who had 5 touchdowns total, 3 through the air and 2 through the ground. This felt like what 2018 Matthew Stafford versus Patrick Mahomes was. Now, is it early enough to go the whole changing of the guard conversation? Is Caleb Williams the future? I think so. I don't think we're there yet. But at the same time, I watched that game and I thought that this is what it felt like. Patrick Mahomes' second year, third year in Kansas City. This is what it felt like when you watched college football and Johnny Manziel lit it up 13 years ago for Texas A&M. It's what it felt like when you're watching these quarterbacks like Lamar, as he made his ascension in the NFL, do circus-like things. In a game where the Bears lost, my favorite nugget is how good the Bears look. The 49ers, conversely, as solid as they were offensively, as lackluster as they looked defensively, the Bears targeted that secondary. This is a 6-game win streak for a team that might be the hottest in the NFL right now. Ben Johnson, offensive evolution. Shanahan and the 49ers, Super Bowl contenders. That window is open. There was no George Kittle last night. It did not matter for the 49ers. They still win the game, and they win it late. Now, and don't get me wrong, there are moments where Caleb Williams misses the window, where he wasn't what you needed in crunch time as well. Swift, late in the game, is open, ready to score a touchdown on a 42-38 score with the Bears driving inside of 2 minutes, and they cannot complete the game. Too early in a career to talk about coming back to win games for a team that's done that all year long in the Chicago Bears, namely in their game last week against Green Bay, 22-16 in overtime. I do not want to see this team in the postseason. And last night, we got a much clearer picture of what the postseason will look like. A big piece of that is Buffalo and Philadelphia. I am a football guy. I will typically subscribe to the idea that when given the opportunity to go for 2 to win a football game, you go for 2 and you win the football game. In almost any instance that isn't what we got last night. I am watching a lackluster, porous, terrible offensive performance from the Buffalo Bills. I'm watching a Bills team who is watching its AFC East hopes slip through its fingers. And then all of a sudden a switch flips, and with 5.5 minutes left to go in the game, the Bills are the Bills again. They pull within one. Buffalo gets the defensive stop after a late touchdown, and they decide to score another touchdown. They've got 12 on the board here. This is a masterclass in how could we play this as poorly as possible down the line so that we aren't actually in contention to win this game. How can we put ourselves in the worst position possible on a 2-point conversion play that still Josh Allen had an opportunity to deliver on? 5:11 left to go in this game. Josh Allen, he punches it in, an extra point is blocked, and Buffalo's down 13-6. You send the ball back to Philly. 3 plays, -2 yards, 1:50 off the clock. There's like 3:21 left to go in the game. Buffalo has the ball. You're playing at home. You're down by 7. Let's go score a touchdown. It's exactly what they do. They're actually on 3rd and goal, given the score. After review, we find out that Knox is short of the line of the goal line of the plane, and then Allen runs it in. It's this. If you're watching the game, it's this beautiful whir of emotions. Of you thought, oh no, the Bills are going to tie it up, and then Knox is ruled short, and then oh no, the Bills are going to tie it up again. Momentum-wise, everything is on the side of Buffalo, and they can just go tie the game. You see the Eagles sideline. The camera pans to Nick Sirianni, and the thought of, oh no, this is so indicative. I go back to that Dallas game on Thanksgiving week when the Eagles fell to the Cowboys. It's what it felt like. The Eagles are going to Eagles. This 2025 team will find a way to lose it when they've dominated all game long. And then Sean McDermott and the Bills do the most Josh Allen, Sean McDermott Bills thing you could possibly do. And they say, let's roll the dice. If I'm Buffalo and I've had this offense, if I'm Buffalo and I'm still building, if I'm Buffalo and my window is still open to win a Super Bowl, to compete in the postseason, but I have not done that because I keep coming up short in clutch moments, let's just go to overtime. This game is swinging in a very clear direction in our favor, and we said, snake eyes. Instead, Josh Allen, open man in the end zone, 2-point conversion, spikes the football. Just throws the football row 3 of the turf. It was a total systematic collapse, and it exposed the lack of killer instinct. When it matters most, what the Buffalo Bills are missing, and you saw it on display again last night, is a lack of killer instinct. How have the Chiefs dominated the AFC Championship year in and year out? Despite the fact they won't this year, they've done it with a killer mentality, a killer instinct. 13 seconds. That's the famous number. You give Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds, and the Bills have an opportunity. The Chiefs, I should say, have an opportunity to win. You give Josh Allen 13 seconds, and certainly he could probably score you a touchdown. But God knows, you ask him to go for 2, you give him an open receiver, and I can't guarantee it. Post game, he said it. He said I should have hit him. Yes, Josh Allen, you should have. You had an opportunity with an open receiver. And somehow, that wasn't the most frustrating part of my Sunday. It wasn't the most frustrating watch. If I am Aaron Rodgers, with an opportunity to go to the postseason, and more than go to the postseason, prove to the country it was the right decision for me to come back. It was the right decision for me to come back without the Jets. I've still got it. I can still lead a program. If I'm going to talk about McDermott and Josh Allen, I would be remiss to not talk about Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers and what you got with the Steelers yesterday, playing the Browns. I loved what Myles Garrett had to say afterward, he said, I think they were more focused on stopping me than they were winning the game. 13-6 final score. The Browns collect their 4th win of the season. The Steelers, instead of just doing the simple thing and beating the Browns to lock up a playoff spot, are now 9-7. And the most important piece of that loss is they will play Baltimore next week. And the winner of that game will go, and the loser will not. You're telling me that you're going to give Baltimore, Derrick Henry, and the Baltimore Ravens a chance. I would much rather have that team. I would much rather have that roster. As bad as they were to start the year, as lackluster as it's looked at times, I'd much rather have that than old man Aaron Rodgers, who went 21 for 39 yesterday, 168 yards, a QBR of 19.6. I can count that high. The Browns, it didn't take a Herculean effort by Shedeur Sanders. In fact, he had 2 interceptions to his 1 touchdown pass. A 37.3 QBR is not that great either. 78 rushing yards from Cleveland in a 13-6 game. If I'm a Pittsburgh fan, and I am the kind of guy that I've always been more in the Mike Tomlin camp than I am in the camp of people who say, oh, he's washed. Oh, he's just mediocre. Oh, he can't. He's Jeff Fisher reincarnate, but with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this organization deserves better. This fan base deserves better. We could win more with somebody else. You ask the players in the league, they would tell you that Mike Tomlin is one of the best guys to play for. But Joe Blow on his couch says, I can't stand Mike Tomlin because he keeps winning games, because he keeps failing to drop below 500. I'm rooting for him to lose because I could only hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers lose enough that we could just can him and kick the guy out. I haven't been in that camp. I'm not in that camp. But then I see this. And in the same way, the Bills choking the game at the very end feels so very Josh Allen in a big moment. Looking at a Steelers team that if we played Steelers Ravens 10 times right now, the Ravens win that game 7 times, 8 times. Right now, we played it today. We go in the backyard, no pads, Thanksgiving style. I think the Ravens win that game 7 times. You don't even have it can be an afterthought. We can rest everyone next week. Aaron Rodgers can go on a second ayahuasca retreat if you just beat the Cleveland Browns. But no, that would be too easy. Mike Tomlin instead, after beating Detroit on the road last week, after Aaron Rodgers has gone 3 straight games where I have really liked what he has put together, where the run game was electric against Detroit. Watch that game from start to finish a week ago. And you go from 9-6, the world is your oyster. You were 6-6 back in November. What was right in front of you, the opportunity right in front of you, is still in front of you, but I cannot trust the Pittsburgh Steelers after what I saw yesterday. Today's show is packed. It's hyperbolic. You turn on the radio, the guy's like, oh, packed show today. No. Today's show is packed. I watched college football bowl season this weekend. People keep telling me bowl games are dead. Those people are wrong. There were some major losers. The Giants were losers for winning. There are obituaries to get to. Amateurism in college sports is gone. Kyle Whittingham, the head coach at Michigan, is completely the fault of the athletic director at Utah. There's a crazy Boston sports fan who will join the show in the 7 o'clock hour, and you can't miss it. One team in college football is as disrespected as I've ever seen a college football team. I wouldn't say team. Athletic department? A college football entity? A squad in this country. It's the BYU Cougars. I can explain to you why. But up next, bowl season is alive and well and might not need any change. Everybody, it's played on week 0. Might not need any changes. I can tell you why. This is the Drake Toll Show. Awesome. Thank you. Nice. That was awesome. Sweet. 2 minutes. Good to go. I'll play it coming back on my end after that. If you just give me a cue, I'll pump it up on my end. Sweet. All right. Check. Sweet. Sweet. Let's do it. The Drake Toll Show. Something about it. You feel it? Like, deep down. For, I guess, the last few weeks since I've known we'd be on the air today, I thought, how do we start big? And I think the best way to start big on the Drake Toll Show today was to take it back with William Tell Overture. It only made sense. Westwood One Sports Network, the initial day. I'll tell you, when I first got the call that Westwood One was going to open up to radio, it's like, man, Westwood One that's my childhood. Like, when I would listen to games as a kid, it was on Westwood One on the radio. This is the Oxford University, the Harvard of sports brands, and now they're doing 24-hour radio. And they decided, yeah, the guy from the Savannah Bananas who hosts the Locked On Big 12 podcast is our guy. Have they made the correct decision? I'd like to think yes. But that's up to you. And for you, I want you to be the genius. When you go to the water cooler every day, I want you to be the genius who knows more about sports than the guys next to you. And that has the take that sounds different, because what they probably want to say to you when you get to work today, man, I hate bowl games. Man, college football is broken. There's something, I watch college football all weekend, and college football just isn't what it used to be. It's not, they're paying the players, the transfer portal, it's ruining everything. And the worst part of all of this are the bowl games. We love to complain about this. If you are of the mind that bowl games are dead, you are wrong. That's a statement for people who aren't actually watching college football. Because there's a distinct difference between people who really care about the sport and those who just are regurgitating what they heard maybe on the radio. Or they turn TV. They turn the TV on. Or they listen to the wrong college coach who says that, oh, well, we've got to fix this. They always subscribe to the book of Lane Kiffin. I thought it was very funny this week when Lane Kiffin showed up to LSU's bowl game against Houston. Tigers lost it 38-35 against the Cougars. He shows up, he goes on TV, does an interview, and he leaves. Doesn't even stay for the whole bowl game. But if you actually sat down as a lover of sports, as a lover of college football, as a lover of all things good and holy pigskin, what you got on Saturday was magical. I felt like a kid again. I felt like I was watching some of those classic bowl games, like when TCU, just this little scrummy TCU, goes and beats big bad Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. When Utah finishes undefeated, Kyle Whittingham knocks off Nick Saban in the Sugar Bowl. It's what it felt like. It's what it felt like when college football 20 years ago didn't have the we pay players or the public-facing bag men. Right now, all of a sudden, it's broken because everybody has the opportunity to do the same thing. And I will say, I don't think college football is perfect, and I do think that a major problem with this is a place like North Texas. Drew Mestemaker, their quarterback, comes in as a guy who was very much under-recruited. He just walks through the doors at North Texas and becomes the most prolific passer maybe in the country, especially at the mid-major level. And there's no way that North Texas can hold on to that guy. While it sucks for North Texas, and I agree there should be some more parameters in place to possibly even, this sounds crazy, but it comes from Deion Sanders, sign contracts or have salary caps because these players are making more than their coordinators. For a Drew Mestemaker, as bad as that is for North Texas, you know who it's very good for? Drew Mestemaker, the kid that can now go get paid to play football. And I don't think it dilutes the viewing experience for you or for me. If you sat down on Saturday and did the right thing, you watched college football. Here are some of the scores. 23-17, East Carolina over Pitt. Some kid named Dida comes in for East Carolina, who he's hanging out in the program. He's like, all right, I guess I get my big shot here. 14.5-point underdogs against Pitt. They go and win the game 23-17. That's what bowl season is about. North Texas. I just gave you Drew Mestemaker. who's going to transfer. The quarterback decides to play the game 49-47 in the New Mexico Bowl. Virginia 13, Missouri 7. For all of the people who have told me ad nauseum for months on end, the SEC is the best conference in college football. It just means more. It just means more. It just means more. I will be very clear. Yes, the SEC is the best conference in college football. But we have less and less ways to prove that now. 2 seasons without going to the national championship game. And a team like Missouri, who is riddled with 4-star players, versus a team like Virginia, who is riddled with 2-star players. And the Cavaliers get a 13-7 win. Well, Missouri's quarterback, Purdy, was out. Well, their backup wasn't really a backup. He played half the season as a starting quarterback because Purdy had injury issues. Now Purdy's in the transfer portal because that's what college football is today. But I still enjoyed the 13-7 game. Penn State 22, Clemson 10. These two teams were top 5 in the country to start the season, playing in a bowl game. And that is the beauty of college football. Penn State can go out 22-10 with an interim head coach who cries after the game, who says, this is just what I want to do for the rest of my life as Coach Penn State. But there are people who decided, I'm not even going to watch it this weekend. I'm going to go take a walk in the park. I'm going to go do the go-karts. You guys can have fun with your football. It's broken. No, it's not. BYU 25, Georgia Tech 21. I buried the lead here. This is arguably the most fun game to watch. 21-10 at halftime. Cougars come back to win it. And it's not because BYU or Georgia Tech played a good game. It's not because Haynes King, this legend of Georgia Tech, played his final game in the gold. It's not because BYU has the first freshman quarterback to throw for 3,000 yards since we saw one Trevor Lawrence do it for Clemson. The reason this game is awesome is because pregame, 3 that I saw, it may have been 4, sentient Pop-Tarts waddle their way out onto the field. And they know their fate. See, because at the end of the game, whichever team wins gets to choose a flavor of Pop-Tart out of the options that they are given. They will be lowered into a very large toaster. And these once living Pop-Tarts will then be consumed by the coaching staff and players of one team. And you're telling me bowl games are dead. At the end of this contest, there are 3 Pop-Tarts standing on a massive toaster. One of them opts out of the sacrificial ritual and decides it's not for them. They jump from the toaster, leaving 2 left to be toasted. At the same time this is happening, some of the great fanfare of all time, truly, 200 yards away, Georgia Tech sits in the locker room, coaches crying, players crying, their career's over, while Strawberry finds its final success as a Pop-Tart and is roasted. I think that the take needs to be reformed because a lot of this is a mindset deal. If you are a college football fan, if you are a football fan, NFL fan, or if you're a casual, general watcher of college football, what we've come to expect, given the 12-team playoff, we've become so needy, so grabby, this on-demand society. I don't want to watch college football. I don't want to watch it unless it's in the playoff. I don't want to watch it unless it's top 10 teams. And then when we do get to the playoff, you have James Madison there or Tulane there getting blown out. I don't want to watch that. I want to watch Ohio State play Georgia. That's what I want. I want to watch Alabama. I want to watch Alabama. Please let me. Can they please play Ole Miss? That's the only thing I want to watch. What you're missing out on is the real college football, the nitty-gritty. Obviously, Alabama and Ohio State, Michigan and Georgia are real football. But don't come to me in December with the bowl system is broken when you didn't watch Kansas State and Iowa State play in Ireland in week 0. If you're not here for that game, I think that you have waived your right to have an opinion on where college football sits as an entity. Because what I saw on Saturday were coaches crying, players crying, teams holding up trophies. At a school like Houston, this is my favorite example. I told you a second ago that Missouri is riddled with these 4-stars. They've got these blue chip prospects, and that Virginia doesn't. And I'm correct in saying that. What you may not know, and this is where I think bowl season finds its life. This is where you go to the water cooler and you say, guys, how about this for a stat? Is your friend may say the SEC lost, LSU lost to Houston because LSU's players opted out. I'd say, wait a second. LSU has 66 players on their roster who are 4 stars or 5 stars. 66. That's over half the roster. Houston, conversely, has 6. This is a math problem. This is a numbers game. Because if LSU, let's say they had a large number of opt-outs, let's say that 12 players, 15 players, 16 for the sake of math, decide to opt out of this game. That leaves you with 50 blue chip guys, and still half of your roster had 4 or 5 stars next to their name when they graduated high school and came to LSU to be developed. Came to one of the best football names and brands in the sport. And you're playing Houston. You know, I worked in radio in Waco for 5 years. And the people, it wasn't really a rivalry between Baylor, which is housed in Waco, and Houston. Houston was almost too irrelevant to that fan base for them to consider it a rivalry or an in-state rivalry. They would call them Cougar High. Oh, Cougar High's playing this weekend. It was Houston. And that is the 10th best show in town. Let's call it like it is, right? You're watching the Astros. You're watching Astros highlights probably over the Houston. The attendance isn't great at those games. You're watching the Rockets. The Texans are so good. You're probably watching the Houston Symphony Orchestra before you're going to a Houston Cougars football game. I'm not, but some people are. And that team just beat LSU to notch its 10th win of the season. Well, LSU didn't have its players. But the players that did play, you just told me in the SEC it just means more. And that half the roster is still blue chip. So Houston winning that game is further proof that there are teams, there are coaches, there are staffs that want to win these games. These games matter for those kids. And for LSU, I want to commend them. They didn't pull the Notre Dame and say we don't want a bowl game. They didn't pull the Kansas State and say that we don't want a bowl game. They went out there with an interim coach and they played. And they got a 14-0 lead. They scored 35 points. You're going to sit here and tell me that those players that did go out there didn't want to win? That the bowl system's broken because it's just this lackadaisical thing where we send a bunch of kids out there to go run around in the muck? I watched a game at Fenway between Army and UConn. At the same time, I was watching the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl between 2 preseason top 5 teams at Yankee Stadium. That is hilarious. And it's another reason, another feather in the hat of why college football is not dead. It's just that you've been told over and over and over, it's a broken system, it's dead, something has to change, it needs to change from the ground up. There's no way we can keep doing this. I hate it, you hate it. Something must be different. We can't continue to live like this in college football world. No, we can. And I'm going to continue to watch these bowl games. I'm going to see Arizona State play Duke. I'm going to watch Iowa play Vanderbilt. Miami, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas Tech, Alabama, Indiana. Those are fun college football playoff games. But look, if you really care about college football, if you really want to see the sport at its best, you'll turn it on when Rice and Texas State are playing later this year. That's a bit hyperbolic. Maybe you'll turn that one on. But you'll watch as some of the nation's best still have the opportunity. Tonight even, a rivalry game, Georgia Southern and App State in the J-Lab Birmingham Bowl. That's a 5-hour drive from me. What's stopping me? I have autonomy. Get in my car right now and be there. Plenty early as well. If you think college football is broken, you're just not watching college football correctly. I stand by that. Coming up, the biggest losers. This New York Giants program just won a game. And they may be the biggest loser of the week. Was Phillip Rivers the right call for the Colts? I don't think so. And the Bills went for 2. Our biggest losers, and there are a lot of them, right here, the Westwood One Sports Network and the Drake Toll Show. Awesome. Love it. Everything going well on your end, Laura? Great. Anything else I can do to help you? Wow. Come on now. Let's go. Hi, Addie.
That was good.
You liked that?
I'm going to add files up here.
Oh, nice.
There's still not a hard limiter, though, Drake. That's what I'm worried about, because I can't do anything in here.
Okay, if we need to punt audio, we can punt audio.
No, I don't want to do that. I don't like that idea.
Okay.
Let's see. It's loading.
Armin's telling me right now it's the least listened to week of radio all year, so.
You can't make me laugh.
Nice. We don't have it in yet. She doesn't have a. She has the Cumulus laptop, and it's got nothing on it. It's wiped of like Audacity or what? Odyssey? What's it called? Premiere. Whatever.
Like Premiere, Audition, everything.
Audition. Yeah, we're all good.
Bro, I had to fix a setting wherever it was like the setting on the laptop had the freaking speaker disabled.
Oh, nice. Okay, Addie, are they sending you? I don't know if your mic is coming through them to me.
They said if my mic is on, it's gonna go over air.
Okay. Hey, Laura, quick question for you.
Yeah.
So, Addie, if Addie talks in the mic, she'll come through you, and I'll hear her in my ears, right? On air, sorry. Cool. I'll bring her in for this next segment at like 7. Nope, I lied. 6. Hold on, I'm lying again. Yep, 7:09. I'll bring her in for sure. Sweet, thanks, Laura. Nice. Let's do it. We're so back. People have been asking for a long time. Are they back? And I do believe, officially, Westwood One Sports Radio, it's back. You know who's not back? The winners of their football game on Sunday, the New York Giants. This is the Drake Toll Show. I'm Drake Toll, Westwood One Sports Network. Day one of radio from Westwood One comes after it. We could have picked a lot of different days to kick this show off, to kick the network off. You'll hear from some of the industry and nation's best new voices all day long, 24/7, for the rest of time. Thanks to Westwood One, the Westwood One app, the Drake Toll Show YouTube. There are so many bells and beautiful whistles for you to even be involved in this show. This show is built by you. 310-840-4910. You can even text or call the show. 310-840-4910. And of all of the days we could have picked to involve you, to build a beautiful lineup, to make this thing go, we picked one of the few days out of the year where the New York Giants are coming off of a football win. They are now 3-13 and drop the Las Vegas Raiders to 2-14. This is what the Raiders wanted. In our segment of Biggest Losers, I am not usually of the mind that if you are a NFL team, you should lose intentionally. But in this scenario, when your name is the Giants and nothing is going correctly for you pretty much ever for the last couple of years, and you're trying to figure out structurally, top down, how can we become better? I think beating the hapless Raiders 34-10 the week after, days after Max Crosby has surgery and the Raiders could not be in a lower spot, flaunting, celebrating, grittying down the field, we won the football game, is maybe not the best look. And now I'm a believer in Jackson Dart. I think if Cam Scattaboo is healthy and Wan'Dale Robinson is in the fold next season, the Giants have some pieces, but you are obviously missing. We are omitting legitimate things to help the Giants become a contender. And one of those things is a high-end draft pick. Quarterback is figured out. We've got quarterback figured out. I think the Raiders may stick. If Pete Carroll has the choice to stick with Geno Smith, that may be what they do moving forward the next couple of years and try to build pieces around, yes, old man Geno Smith. The Giants, they've got their quarterback. They know what they want at quarterback. They've got their running back when Scattaboo comes back healthy, if he is what he was in 2025. The receiving core is not dismal. Anchoring the trenches is incredibly important for a team that said, we would rather win the football game and forfeit our opportunity to go get. This is one of the best NFL draft classes on the defensive line ever. Miami has multiple draft picks. Texas Tech, multiple draft picks that should go in the first round that could help a roster contend immediately in the trenches. And the Giants said, not us. The first biggest loser, the New York Giants. This pains me. We're going back out behind the barn here for our for our next biggest loser. And I think it's the Colts. And man, I know you're going to hear it and you're going to think it's not fun to say for me. It's not fun to hear for you, but I do think it's the Colts. I'm a PR guy. Went to Baylor University, got a PR degree reluctantly. I didn't want to do PR. I wanted radio or TV. They didn't have it. So what I'm giving to you here is a commendation for the Colts signing Phillip Rivers. As a guy who worked for the Savannah Bananas, I've seen PR at its best in sports. And everyone was talking about, let's watch Phillip Rivers and his high school team. This is so fun. It's so cool. But novelty, as fun as oddity and novelty can be, do they give you wins? Well, in this case, no. 120 passing yards at Seattle. Couldn't finish the game out. 147 passing yards against Jacksonville at home. Another opportunity to win the game, couldn't finish the game out. 48-27. Those 27 points against San Francisco in most NFL games are going to be enough to win you the game. The 48, that was completely on the Colts defense. Rivers, I thought, played a pretty good game against the 49ers. But this squad was 8-2. And then a tight loss to the Chiefs on the road. A very tight loss to Houston. Each of these games, of their skid they've gone on, they've lost 6 now. They'll lose again on the road against the Texans next week. They've lost 6. 5 of those have been one-score games. You're telling me there was not another quarterback in the country, not another sprightly young man in America that could walk through the doors of that facility and give you one more score, one more touchdown. I watched Phillip Rivers. I love it. This is football nostalgia. This is the San Diego Chargers, Phillip Rivers, the guy with 10 kids. It's awesome. It's a great story. But let's be fair to ourselves. Let's be real with ourselves. It can't all be sunshine and rainbows. In Old Yeller, I've watched it multiple times. The dog dies every time. The story would be really cute if the dog got to overcome rabies. But I don't know if you know this. Rabies is like permanent. The dog's going to die. The next time you watch it, the next time you read the book, I'm sorry if I spoiled it. And in this instance, for the Colts, Old Yeller didn't live. Old Yeller went 0-3. And maybe against the Texans, they win. They go 9-8. And it was fun while it lasted. It was fun. Didn't remember the time Phillip Rivers came back, delayed his Hall of Fame status. Yeah, it feels good in your tummy, but it doesn't win football games. I think, and unapologetically, Lane Kiffin deserves to be in the category of biggest loser this week. I also, as somebody who, again, I understand PR, so when Kiffin tweets out a picture this week of a female staring at the ocean, it's just her calves, like her knee down, bottom of her legs. He's troll is the word the kids like to use. He certainly is that. I don't hate Lane Kiffin. What I do hate is that Lane Kiffin goes to LSU's bowl game. He shows up in a leather jacket, Indiana Kiffin style. All he needed was the hat and the whip. Shows up in a leather jacket, goes to the broadcast booth. They shut the whole world down for 12 minutes. They miss a touchdown. They miss multiple plays because Lane Kiffin is gracing us with his presence in the broadcast booth. And then the second he's done with the broadcast, he leaves. He doesn't watch LSU play. The team that he's going to be the head coach of, the team he actively is now the head coach of, he doesn't watch them play. He doesn't scout out who he could keep for next year or try to stand on the sidelines, get to know the guys. Deuces. I got places to be, ladies to see. Kiffin out. That isn't the category. Now, this is not the biggest loser thing that Lane Kiffin has done. And I'm not anti-Lane Kiffin. I personally get it. As a young guy, I understand what he's doing, and it's worked. He's winning football games and then telling you he's winning football games and then making a meme out of winning football games. So I'm not anti that, but that's just a bad look. If I'm playing for the LSU Tigers right now, and that's what my new head coach did, it's just a bad look as these guys are fighting for an opportunity to play still for the LSU Tigers next season. While we're talking biggest losers, what is Journey doing? I watched the 49ers-Bears game last night, and the halftime performance was Journey. No Steve Perry. Just a shell of what they've been. Just an auto-tuned shell of what would certainly rock in the 80s. Biggest loser for me, the remaining members of the band Journey. I'm not telling you hang it up, but Robert Plant still looks really cool doing it. Robert Plant still looks really cool. Their Axl Rose, got it. Like, Bret Michaels, not so much. The remaining members of Journey, oof. The, one Beach Boy we still have with us, nah, no. Biggest loser is that Journey halftime performance they showed on my television last night. Defense in the Sunday Night Football game, that was a pretty big loser. Oh, look, the 49ers scored again. Nope. They're the Bears. They did too. The Buccaneers, whatever that was, you certainly have earned a biggest loser stamp for what you did against the Dolphins. Why it's like Mike McDaniel is going to be unfireable as they win, as the Dolphins win. At Tampa Bay, you've still got an opportunity in the division. Just go beat the Dolphins. And I don't know why I ever trusted you. Baker Mayfield, 346 yards in his best Jameis Winston impersonation, 33 for 44, 346, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Buccaneers lose to the Dolphins. Playoffs, not so much. Smell ya. And then the biggest loser, the Lions, for doing whatever the Lions have decided to do now. Dan Campbell, I believed in you. I trusted you. I rooted for you. America rooted for you. And this is what you give us, is a season with all the expectations in the world just to kind of not do that. That is sad for America. It's sad for football fans and people that like to see the Detroit Lions win in the game of football. Let's open the 7 o'clock hour with obituaries. Many have left us in this sports world. We got plenty to get to here on the Drake Toll Show. What's up? Sorry, Laura, I missed you there. Anything from me right now? You're good. Cool. Hello, YouTube and Twitter world. It's me. Spencer, Gigi, Drunkle Sam. I see all of you, and it's awesome. Thank you, Drunkle Sam. I had a guy call me a second ago. This is for you, YouTube and Twitter world. He's like, hey, we can hear you talking in between the breaks. Like, yeah, it's kind of like, isn't that the point, right? I want you guys to have full transparency on how these conversations go. Laura's running the board. She's the best. Addie's producing, which is awesome. I mean, it's day one, right? You got there's technical stuff we're gonna do and get through. When I'm not telling you about Mike Tomlin or the bowl season. This is actually kind of fun. Hey, Laura, what's up? Okay. $25. Okay, I was told 40. I'm sorry. Armin, I think he got it wrong. We've changed it like 3 times today. So 54.25 officially. Yep, I can do that the rest of the show, no doubt. And the rest of my life, of course. All right. YouTube, Twitter, no free ads to the world, but Bang Energy today. Gatorade Zero. It's behind the scenes. Yoo-hoo was the first thing I hit this morning. Just in case of emergency, I have Tylenol, acetaminophen, Excedrin, extra strength actually too. 2 of the same koozie. Big koozie guy. Emergency, don't like it. It doesn't taste good. My dog's in here too, which is great. Oh, I forgot to turn these on. You ready to see this? Bang. It doesn't really change at all, but makes me feel good about myself. Yes, I will. Yeah, I'll have Addie in on this one. Yep, Laura, and this will be a kind of a longer rejoin in here too. Yep. Yoo-hoo is better in bottles. Cool. Let's rock.
Go on trial just for laughing at the joke, just for saying of the bargain what any sales girl already knows. Most of us old men die at the firing line, just waiting for our number to be called. I guess time just makes fools of us all.
It's the Drake Toll Show on the Westwood One Sports Network. Drake Toll with you. Day one of the rest of our lives. Radio is now. Obituaries. Today we are in a season of mourning. And that season of mourning is for amateurism in college athletics. So, to give you some pieces of this, if you are a human being who believes that players should be able to go to the NFL or the NBA and then come back and play in college, if you're a human being who believes that, I've got a lot of questions for you. 310-840-4910, by the way. The text line. You can text us or call 310-840-4910. I'm assuming and I'm hoping, actually, for maybe the only time ever on this show that you don't call me or text me, because I don't want you to believe that players could go to the NBA or the NFL and then come back to play college athletics. But it's what's happening right now. What is going on begins at BYU a couple of months ago, where a guy who was in the G League comes and he tries to play for BYU, and he's played a couple games. He hasn't done much. And it got quiet quick. No one really cared after the initial 48 hours of no. Then, a week ago, Baylor signs James Najee. And James Najee, he's a more well-known G League player, 20 years old, still a young guy, decides he wants to try out the NBA, 37th overall draft pick. James Najee's going to go play for the Baylor Bears. And people take issue with this. Tom Izzo, the head coach at Michigan State, takes issue with this. And Izzo comes out and says, I'll call Scott and we'll clear this thing up. I thought it was very funny that Izzo in this tweet mentions that he's going to fix this thing with Scott Drew and ensure that this isn't an issue moving forward. Like Izzo runs college basketball. The direct quote is, I'm a little surprised. I've got to call Scott. I'm anxious to see what he tells me. If we're dipping into guys who were drafted to the NBA, shame on the NCAA and shame on the coaches. Shame on the coaches too, Izzo says. Scott Drew replies in a tweet. Love it. I love when, and not to say they are old people, but Scott Drew, Tom Izzo, in like an old man grandpa move, are tweeting back and forth at each other. Scott says, thankful for a great conversation with Coach Izzo. Always value his perspective and appreciate our relationship. These are challenging moments for us to all navigate, but grateful for our shared care for the game. That's a nothing burger, by the way. That quote gives me nothing and says nothing. It's just two guys trying to figure it out in the world. And I didn't really have an issue with this because those aren't NBA players. Those are G League players. This is, bear with me here. This is gonna blow your mind. What you have to understand is that we've been going to Europe and stealing their players. Morsan Sislamovic from Lithuania played for Purdue last year, 7-footer. You may not know, I made that name up. But it's indicative of what Purdue likes to do. They go and get a foreign player from Europe that comes in and plays basketball for the Boilermakers. Matt Painter is very good at that. And a lot of those guys, Luka Doncic, you've heard of him, Victor Wembanyama, you know the name. A lot of those guys will play professional basketball in Europe at the age of like 15, 16. They'll go get paid. There's a way for them to do it. Here in America, the red, white, and blue, Eagle Screech, we like to do this thing where we send you to the EYBL AAU circuit, and you go play basketball for free, and your parents spend $1 million on trying to get you the nicest basketball shoes and flights to Atlanta and flights to Chicago and flights to Dallas to go play hoops. They play pro in Europe, and then they come to America and play college basketball. And guess what? You have never had a problem with it, and neither have I. So when I hear that G League players are going to play in the NBA, my first thought is, okay, we've been doing this. They're just American now, right? Like now we're helping out American players. But this is different. Trenton Flowers, you may know that name because he plays for the Chicago Bulls. He almost actively plays for the I watched him play an NBA game a few weeks ago. Trenton Flowers, remember this name? Two-way guy. A little bit of Chicago Bulls, a little bit of G League. A little bit of Bulls, a little bit of G League. On 3, Joe Tipton, reporting that multiple schools are in the mix for NBA player Trenton Flowers. Yahoo says he's now 20 years old, taking an unconventional path, Dan Wolken writes. A member of the class of 2023, ESPN's number 18 overall recruit, decommitted from Louisville, signed with the Adelaide 36ers in Australia, and then comes over trying to reach the NBA and then reach the NBA. In limited action, listen to this, has averaged 1.9 points in just over 4 minutes per game. This is a guy that can go from guarding LeBron James to Ben Campbell, Sacred Heart's scrappy guard, under-recruited out of high school, walked on. You just guarded LeBron James, and now the fictitious Ben Campbell, who I have made up, that plays guard for Sacred Heart, will have to face Trenton Flowers. Are you comfortable with that? Are you okay with that? Because I personally, I don't want to dilute the amateurism of the game, but at the same time, I do want to give these players money. The rich have only gotten rich. Think about this. If you're a cog, and you probably, we all, right, it's the beauty of being a cog in the machine is like, okay, I'm sitting here as the star of the show. Imagine if you're Beyonce. Oh, this is good. I'm cooking now. You're Beyonce or you're Taylor Swift. You know that name. And you're the performer. You're the people everyone came there to see. But when the show's over, you get $0. And your tour manager, the CEO, the whatever, the arena, they get $10 million. You'd be upset. That's what Perry Ellis was at Kansas. This is before NIL, right? That's what, and you could argue, that's what A.J. McCarron was at Alabama, sans the possible alleged bagman, right? I like that they're getting paid because they're the workers. But if you're going to go to the NBA and then come back to college basketball, there has to be a parameter that ensures that we don't go too far. And I think this is too far. Now, when you build that parameter, you get sued. Sherman antitrust, so-and-so. We're going to sue you. Equal opportunity, so-and-so. Unionize, so-and-so. So I don't have the money to figure that problem out for all of you. But somebody does. And maybe those 4 letters, NCAA. I don't know what they do. They shuffle papers. But maybe, just maybe, they have the answers. One could only hope. Today's show, Robinhood. Yeah. There's something about Robinhood that just, it tickles me and it makes me happy. And today's show is sponsored by Robinhood. Expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Obituaries, rest in peace, amateurism in college athletics. Producer Addie Bates. It is time. Addie, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am great, Addie. She is in the void today. And Addie is Addie, you're in D.C.? Okay. She is reluctantly a Texas Longhorns fan. Fun fact, she bowled at Valparaiso. Scott Drew, which is also cool. Addie, anything I'm missing there? I feel like there's a lot more in your 24 years of existence that I may not have gotten to. Yep. The Ole Miss shot was pretty good. Addie, it's time for my favorite segment that we've done for a long time, and now we bring it to the Drake Toll Show. It's time for America. Buckle up. The quickie will be headlines from across the country, any sport, in all sports. The Addie Bates will read out. And I'm reading here. Drake has 1 minute to respond on his thoughts, and Addie will hit a gong or a buzzer at the end of a minute. This is a new segment we're trying out from Robinhood. Addie, are you ready? Headline me. Okay. Oh. All right, so the lawyer in the suit with Diego Pavia is citing the NBA players playing in college. I mean, he's spot on. He's spot on. Here's what I didn't get to that I can give you now. Sherman antitrust is the opportunity for Diego Pavia to look at the guy like Trenton Flowers and say, hey, if he can do it, I have to be able to as well. Unless you're going to monopolize this for a human being or an entity, I need to do this thing. Otherwise, it's an unfair position you're putting myself in. It's an unfair position you're putting me in from a revenue standpoint and a money-making standpoint. And so what Pavia can do is effectively sue until he's blue in the face and done suing to gain more and more eligibility. Otherwise, there's a Sherman antitrust issue with what's going on in allowing other players to go pro and then come back, or allowing other players to have extra eligibility at the Division I level and NIL level in the NIL era of college athletics. Diego Pavia is right. I don't like it. It's right. It's a long gong sound. We need to find a much shorter gong. It's a good gong. Addy, headlines. Okay, so the Raiders are focused on winning. That's the direct quote. Not the number 1 overall draft pick. If that is the case, add them to the list of biggest losers. As somebody, again, I born and raised in Valonia, Arkansas. We were taught to win from a young age. You could be 0-9 in football, but the 10th game of your high school football season, the Boys of Fall plays from Kenny Chesney, and you want to win. As someone who tried and true loves the whole winning thing, there comes a time in life, and right now is that time for the Raiders, where you don't have to say it. We're all seeing it. You don't want to win. And if you could just not tell us you want to win, it would be a lot less embarrassing than you telling me you try to fake that, oh, well, we really are focused on winning right now. Because not only are you not, but you don't have to be. You want the high draft pick because the roster you have right now cannot win. If the Raiders are going to win, it's going to take a lot. They're going to have to go, and they're already in rebuild mode, but they're going to have to go in rebuild mode and figure out whether or not Pete Carroll's the answer for what they're able to do. I didn't even get gonged there, did I? Kyle Shanahan's best chance to win a Super Bowl. I mean, this is perennial. There are so many. Somewhere in the void, there are 49ers Super Bowl t-shirts. I would love to get a hold of one. They're in the void. They've been sent out to the ether. They've had their opportunities. They've had their chances. They've been there. The moment has been there. I don't think you can see last night's defensive performance. And I already said at the top of the show that I think the Bears are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I believe that. I don't think you can watch the home team have that bad of a defensive performance and then tell me that they are a Super Bowl team. Where I do agree that this is Shanahan's best opportunity is the fact that if they clinch the 1 seed, they'll play at home the rest of the way, including the big game. They will get to play in Levi's Stadium for the Super Bowl, which has now become, I guess, a commonplace thing. We're seeing it in the league. And so that I'll give you. At least you get to play at home. And I want to push back because the opportunity has been there. I've seen them play I've seen them play football in the Super Bowl. That feels like a better opportunity than talking on December 29th about whether or not the 49ers will have a Super Bowl opportunity or be able to make the Super Bowl. But as it sits right now for Shanahan, it's a good opportunity. It just can't be his best opportunity when the opportunity has already presented itself with the actual game. And therefore, I will go, no, not best opportunity. Could be in a few weeks. Give it a few weeks. Have I still not gonged? Do I have to learn what a minute is here? Yeah, okay, we cut the gong. No, I understand. All right, Addy, thank you very much for our headlines today. Nice. The Bills lost to the Eagles. 2 teams going in different directions, and New England secures the AFC East for the first time since 2019. Are the Bills' hopes done? That's next on the Drake Toll Show. Nice. Sorry we went a little late there, Laura. I'm going to try to shorten that up and get us out before 16. Couple minutes. Sweet. Awesome. Nice. Stop it. Come on. Don't play with them, Laura. Come on. All right. Addy, you can hear me through StreamYard, right? That's a yes.
Laura mentioned hard out at the top of the hour.
Top 25, Yep.
Cool. Everything else good?
Yes.
Cool.
That sound good in there? What did you listen on? The app?
I'm still on the app.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rejoin was good. Everything. What do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Westwood One Sports. Not Sports Radio, not Sports Network.
Just Westwood One Sports? Okay. I should probably know that, right?
Okay. It's all coming together now. And if you got to remember, nobody knows who you are. So feel free to say your name and reset 2, 3, 4 times a segment.
Good.
Westwood One Sports, Jake Tool
Yeah.
Show.
I just don't care about myself enough.
Yeah, you gotta. Because most listeners are coming in the middle and won't have any idea.
Yep. Somebody in Milwaukee right now just got in their car.
Yeah.
Nice. 54-25. Great.
All right. Good talk.
Yeah. You having fun yet?
Yeah, baby.
We're doing it.
This is it. Yeah, it's good. We're rolling.
No co-host, too.
No co-host. It was good to bring Addie in. You guys are getting smoother with the down,
Yeah, that's tough. It's,
audio, having no audio stuff.
yeah, it's, yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll talk about that stuff after the show.
Yep.
We just sit here and call her and have a talk after.
I'll open a beer.
Huh?
I'll open a beer. Hey, we still got an hour and a half to go, though.
Yeah, halfway through.
Nice. All right, YouTube, Twitter, you guys ready to do it again? Let's keep doing. 10 seconds. Okay. Yeah, Laura, if you'll just cue me in, I'll start that rejoin whenever you say go. Drake Toll with you on the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports. I'm Drake Toll of the Drake Toll Show. The Savannah Bananas organization, Locked On Big 12. Optimist Teen 2019, Faulkner County, Arkansas. You may have heard of it. It was in the newspaper. What a day in the NFL yesterday. I don't say that hyperbolically. What a day. Trey McBride breaks the record in a season by a tight end for receptions. 117 receptions for tight end Trey McBride. That was awesome. 16 games as well. It's not one of those phony, we play 17 games now. The Eagles, Bills, 13-12. Gutsy. Beautiful. Browns over the Steelers. Pre-game, they're asking Shedeur Sanders about playing against Aaron Rodgers, a guy who faced off against Deion Sanders. Storyline. They tried to milk any sort of answer out of him. He's like, I don't know. I'm just excited to do the game, I guess. Saints-Titans. Two teams that are not good, but played a really good game. If you had Red Zone on, you kept going like, oh, they scored again. I am buying the Jaguars in the postseason. I'm sad with the way the Buccaneers season went. It felt like in that division they were just good enough. I don't want to say they're a good football team, but they're just good enough to win it, and they won't. New England, you're playing the Jets. The Jets are the NFL equivalent of William and Mary, but William just doesn't show up. That's what the Jets look like. So, I mean, you beat them while they're down 42-10. Great. I don't think there's a coach in the world. I don't think there's a coach that we could resurrect John Madden with Tom Landry and then bring Mike Ditka out there. He's still with us. And have those guys try to coach the Jets, and I don't foresee it going very well. Bears 49ers last night, 80 combined points, 42-38. We even had a hook and ladder at the end of the game for the Bears to try to score. Caleb Williams doesn't quite have it when it matters the most, but I thought he looked very good and proved the Bears are a contender. They are a contender. They are not on the bubble. They're a contender. But you know who is on the bubble? You know who is frustratingly on the bubble? Haley Steinfeld's husband, Josh Allen. I think it's Haley Steinfeld he's married to. I personally don't keep up as much with the quarterbacks and their relationships, but much of the country does. I'll even go back before I even give you this Bills take. I'm delaying it because I'm frustrated. I watch football on Christmas. I haven't gotten to talk to you on the Drake Toll Show since Christmas. Broncos Chiefs was fun. I enjoyed watching the bad Cowboys defense. The Lions are the Lions, and it sucks that they are, I think all of America, we all agree, unless you're maybe a Packers fan, a Bears fan, Vikings fan. The Lions are fun, and they're fun to watch when they're good. Texans-Chargers, great game, too. The Ravens, Derrick Henry is a dog. When in doubt, just give the ball to Derrick Henry. Even when the Ravens' defense wasn't as good as they've been. Tyler Huntley doesn't need to throw the ball. He did, and he did it well, but Derrick Henry went 36 carries, 216 yards, 4 touchdowns. That is, yes. And Malik Willis played well. Like, sometimes we live in a society where I watch a game and I'm reminded Malik Willis exists, and I'm reminded maybe Malik Willis isn't bad. And that's a beautiful thing if you are a friend or family member of Malik Willis. But then throw up all over myself. Throw up everywhere. The Bills have clinched the postseason. That's not a worry. But in a year where, in August, if I had told you the Patriots were going to win the AFC East, you would have thought that is absolutely false, stupid, not happening, won't happen, can't happen, the Bills are too good. And then Josh Allen happened, and Sean McDermott happened. And I'm looking at two teams that are going in opposite directions between the Bills and the Eagles, and I don't think that's an overreaction. The take here, what the takeaway here is that the Bills are back on the bubble. And maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I am the idiot for not keeping the Bills on the bubble all along. They practically beg us to do so. They say, please don't believe in us. Please don't. The offense was. This is the worst way to lose a football game. I am a subscriber to that. You know, I go back to the Pee Wee days, Pop Warner days, where you learn pretty quick the sting of a 1-point loss. We were a play away, an interception away, a turnover away, a fumble away. That mentality goes from Pop Warner to the NFL. This stings worse, and the back of the brain, the feeling of this, where the Bills lose 13-12, and the way they lost 13-12, a blocked extra point, followed by a strong defensive stop, followed by an emotional 4th and goal, 1-yard line. Josh Allen punches it in just for Josh Allen to have an open receiver in the end zone on a 2-point conversion and throw the ball into the ground. I threw it on the ground. That's what this was.
Here we go again.
That's what this was. The Bills doing the Bills. The time that I start to believe I'm proving the idiot. Now, the Eagles. Here's something that we don't talk about enough. You turn on the TV. You turn on the radio. You get these people, these talking heads talking. Hi, Drake Toll here, one of them. And what they don't tell you is late in game, everybody talks 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill, the middle 8. That middle 8's super important. Last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. They always talk about offense. Oh, what can Patrick Mahomes do in those last 2 minutes? What can Josh Allen do in those last 2 minutes? Caleb Williams has become so impressive, so incredible those last 2 minutes. You watched for most of his career, it was Tom Brady as this closer. Then in the last 2 minutes, there's the meme of him looking up from the iPad with just devil eyes. What they don't talk about is the defensive side of the football. What they don't remember is in that 2 minutes, you can have an elite 2-minute defense, an elite 4-minute defense. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles are becoming. The defense is tightening up at this point in the year. With 5.5 minutes to go, they had not allowed a point against the Bills in Buffalo. Drizzly day in Buffalo. This is clutch gene versus late game collapse. And it didn't take Jalen Hurts. It didn't take Jalen Hurts being a hero. He might not be a top 5 overall quarterback in the NFL, but he is a top 3 winner in the NFL. He is a winner. Sam Darnold is a winner. There are quarterbacks that just win. The Eagles have mastered the 4-minute drill. They can close out games. Buffalo, you could look at the box score. You could watch the game. It's this reoccurring pattern of fourth quarter scoring droughts, blown leads. And then the game where they're down by 13, where you're thinking, okay, wow, we can do it. We can come back. Come on. We can do it. Remember that time against the Ravens? We came back. Come on. We got that. We're still that team. No, you're not. No, you're not. Philadelphia's defense has tightened up. It's tightened up. And even though it's tightened up, even though they got the clutch gene to finish, even though I just gave you all these reasons, I'm still buying the Eagles as a playoff team and putting the Bills in the bubble. All of that. And yet Josh Allen still has an opportunity with an open man in the end zone, and he just says, I really don't know if I should throw it to him. Spike the ball instead. That's what you got. 2 different directions. I'm going to stick to that. I think a part of this is poise. That's the right word to use here for Jalen Hurts. He minimizes catastrophic mistakes in high leverage moments. Even when it didn't take Hurts to go win the game in this instance, he is a beautiful general. He might not be fun to watch if you don't love the intricacies of football. If you want some splashy, flashy 5,000-yard passer, please, God, do not watch Jalen Hurts. But if you want to watch a guy who's just calm, you've got it. If you want to watch hero ball, it's Josh Allen. I can do it. I can do it. And sometimes he can do it up until it's the moment where it's got to be done. You did it until we needed to go win. Oh. The Eagles are winning with the depth chart. The Bills are still they're still relying on the superstars. Where are our superstars? And I maybe this shouldn't be a conversation about Josh Allen as much as it should be a conversation about the coaching staffs. If you're listening right now in Milwaukee, if you're listening in Hoover, Alabama, if you're listening in Tampa, Florida, if you're listening in Sacramento, California, why are you awake? Wherever you're listening, the most important piece to take away from this is that there is harmony. As much as Eagles fans, I've talked to Eagles fans who believe that Nick Sirianni is the greatest terrorist that organization has ever seen. That they can't stand him. Every game the Eagles lose, that guy's the worst. Fire him. But those players, they play hard for Nick Sirianni. Those players have cohesion and cohesiveness with their head coach, Nick Sirianni. Sean McDermott, we've seen it with moves of guys coming out of Buffalo, guys going in, late season collapses, playoff collapses. And you begin to think, I know Sean McDermott's a good coach, but like late game decision making, the stress of this, it's all kind of boiling over to what are we doing? Why? We just kicked an extra point, and yeah, it got blocked. But now we're going to we're at home, we can go to overtime, we have the momentum, hey, cojones on the table. We're going for it. I don't know. The Eagles' offensive line too, like gold standard for just control. Like that's gold standard. Buffalo's front, their inability to consistently protect the pocket, their inability to perform when it matters most. I think the championship window in Philadelphia has elongated. There's a multi-year window. Even this is the same Eagles team that if I had talked to you 3 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have said something much different. Most Eagles fans, three game losing streak, are going, oh no, is it over? Is it over? And now on a 3-game winning streak where you blew out Las Vegas, you went on the road, and of course you beat Washington. You're wondering, okay, is that fool's gold? We're 10-5, but is it fool's gold because of who we beat? You just went to Buffalo and won. In a game that you tried to give it to Buffalo. The mental fortitude was enough. It was there for Philly, and it wasn't there for Buffalo at home. At some point, if I'm a Bills fan, if I'm an NFL fan, if I'm sitting right now in Conway, South Carolina, listening to this, I'm remembering when the Bills first got good 8 years ago. And then you remember, that was 8 years ago? I was super excited because this felt like when the Lions first got good. They're winning. It's the Bills. They've sucked for so long, and they're winning. That was a long time ago. Your window has been a large window. And I'm not so sure that window is that big anymore. Again, if I'm talking about coaching decisions, coaching controversies, the Stephon Diggs situation gives you a lot of what you need to know. I've got questions about the Bills. I've got them on the bubble right now. I don't have them as a Super Bowl contender as we speak. I just don't. Coming up, let's do something a little crazy and give you our idiot of the day. Our idiot of the day comes from the college football ranks. And you know what? Here's what we'll do. We're supposed to go to commercial here. I'm going to skip it because I'm probably as fired up as I've been. This Bills conversation has got me on a bender. Let's light it up here. Our idiot of the day today. I think we have a sound for this, don't we? Hold on.
Idiot of the day.
It's good, isn't it? Idiot of the day. So I don't know if you saw this. The Michigan Wolverines, one of the top 5 jobs in all of college football, hired a new head coach. That head coach's name is Kyle Whittingham. And this is one of the highest profile opportunities you could get in all of college football. And the initial reaction from some Michigan fans was puzzling. I think that's the best way for me to describe it. This is from Message Board Geniuses on Twitter. They built a beautiful array of reactions from The Wolverine, which is a Michigan forum site, from On3 and Rivals. Can I pause, by the way? I love you. I say this from a place of love. But if you're spending your Christmas day, if you're spending your Christmas Eve, if you're spending your holiday season typing away on a forum about college sports, we need to have a deeper conversation about what you're doing with life. I love college sports, but I think now is as good a time as ever to hang up and hang out if you're these people that I'm about to reference who are Michigan fans. And if you're listening in Ann Arbor right now, I think you got the right guy. And I think if you're a reasonable fan of the Blue, then you would agree. I'm getting to our idiot of the day, and somehow the idiot of the day is not the people who have commented these things about Kyle Whittingham. CGPS Blue says, is Michigan the first university to impose the death penalty on itself? ND 2021. I hope the folks who didn't want Jeff Brom are happy. This is so bad. Lendale White. This is Mike O'Reilly at Nebraska 2.0. This is disgusting. For some context there, this is one of my favorite moves an athletic department has ever made. Bo Pelini is winning games at Nebraska. Nebraska decides, well, if we fire him and stop winning 10 games, we'll go to the national championship. So they hire Mike O'Reilly away from Oregon State, and he just sucks. Right into Scott Frost, who just sucks as the head coach at Nebraska. Lendale White thinks that Michigan just got the Nebraska Mike O'Reilly out of Kyle Whittingham. Greg, 2356, yeah. This program is entering a very, very, very dark age. Thank you, Greg. This program's a joke. Return to sender. Horrendous hire. My gosh, Bryce Underwood will be a duck for sure. And what a crap show. Well, Danny, 8124. Here's my message to you. Kyle Whittingham, although he has not had a quarterback drafted during his tenure at Utah, is the same man who went 13-0 as the head coach of the Utes and beat Nick Saban. You've heard of him. In the Sugar Bowl. Beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. And as I start to give you the accolades, like this year, Utah was 5th nationally in scoring, average of 41.1 points per game. Last season, they walked into the Big 12 out of the Pac-12, I should say, thinking maybe we go to the Big 10, maybe we go to the ACC with Stanford and Cal, maybe we go to the Big 10 with Oregon and Washington. It doesn't work out. The Big 12 is their landing spot. And Whittingham goes 5-7 year one in the new conference. They lose Cam Rising. You know that name. And this season, flips his offensive coordinator around, brings in a transfer quarterback. They win 10 games. They're top 15 for most of the year. Their 2 losses, one was to the number 11 team in the country. One was to number 4 Texas Tech. They were 10-2. Both their losses were really quality losses. And as you know, if you follow college football at the playoff committee, that quality losses matter a lot. But Kyle Whittingham's not the idiot of the day. And those message board geniuses aren't the idiot of the day.
Idiot of the day.
The idiot of the day is Mark Harlan. He is the athletic director at Utah. Here's how this unfolded. Here's what I have been told by multiple sources very close to the situation. Whittingham's been at Utah for decades. He's a guy who played college football at BYU. This is a big rival of Utah. And eventually gets his coaching start there for the Cougars, eventually moves over to the Utes, and has given up on BYU. He's the head man for Utah. And in the span of his 20 years, following Urban Meyer, Alex Smith, Urban Meyer, following a really tough act, Whittingham wins. What Urban Meyer does, he walks into your college football program, Bowling Green to Utah to Florida to Ohio State, and he wins football games. You don't ask questions. We don't ask questions. We just win football games. Whittingham begins to do the same. Here's where things get crazy, and this is why there's an oddity factor to this that matters so much to me, because I just don't understand how the brain works this way for some people. Is Whittingham goes 20 years, and what he says is, hey, when I'm 65 years old, That's in 2024. I'm probably going to retire. Now, I don't know about you. There may not be another industry in the world where you go to your boss and say, hey, at 65, I'm going to retire. Sign me to a 10-year contract when I'm 60. But that's how college football works. And so Whittingham says, I'll retire at 65. Last year, he turned 65. His team goes 5-7. They lose to the rival. They're not good. What he does is he's already established in 2019 a head coach in waiting, the defensive coordinator, Morgan Scalley. I want to promote within. I want to keep continuity. Utah man I am. So when he gets to the point where he says, Scalley, it's 2024 is your year. Going into 25, you'll be the head coach. And folks, here's what happens. They get to the end of the season last year. It doesn't go the way that Whittingham wants, and he says, I'm coming back for another year. Well, the athletic director, Mark Harlan, the head coach of waiting, Morgan Scalley, said, well, no. You told us that you were going to retire. And he said, well, I don't want to anymore. So they gave him one more year. And the now Michigan head coach goes 10-2 at Utah. And you know what happened? After he goes 10-2, Kyle Whittingham walks into Mark Harlan's office, walks to the athletic director. He goes to donors across the University of Utah, and he says, if you could all just support me to the administration, I want to stay the head coach. So here's my question. Bill Belichick in New England. After Tom Brady, things fell apart. But what if the last year of Brady and Belichick, what if that last year, Belichick said to Robert Kraft, hey, I want to keep coaching? Do you think that Robert Kraft would fire Bill Belichick? Do you think that New England, coming off of a Super Bowl win, would fire Bill Belichick? Not allow him to come back? Well, of course not. Is he getting older? Yeah, he's getting older, but we're not going to can this guy. He's doing really well. Now, hindsight's 2020. Things fall apart in New England. But in this case, we're kind of sitting in that era where Whittingham's still winning games. The now Michigan head coach is still winning games. He goes to the athletic director and says, I know I told you I wanted to retire. I was just kidding. Prank, joke. Can I come back? And the AD makes a decision. What would you do? This is a John Quinones. What would you do? The AD makes a decision where he says, I want to go with a guy who's never been the head coach before. I want to go with the defensive coordinator. I'm going to promote him to head coach at the University of Utah. Thank you for your service. You can be a special assistant to our staff. You take the statue coach, the legend, the guy who's been there, the Kirk Ferentz, and you say, yeah, dog, I'm good. We can't keep playing the cat and mouse game of I'm retiring, I'm unretiring, I'm retiring, I'm not retiring. Snip, snap, snip, snap. You have no idea how many retiring and unretirings, how big of a toll that can take on an athletic department. So what happens is when they tell him he can't come back and coach, he is clear with the media. I've won a lot of games. I'm a good head football coach, and I am 66 years old, but I have gas in the tank. Nick Saban retired in his early 70s. You're seeing coaches that are coaching into their early 70s. The lifespan of a coach, if they can adapt to the game of college football, is long. And there are certainly guys like a Jimbo Fisher who said, look, I'm going to have to hang it up. I can't keep doing this. A Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, I'm going to have to hang it up. I can't keep doing this. It's become the Wild West. There's too much NIL. There's too much nefarious stuff going on. I cannot keep doing this. Well, what happens to Whittingham is I want to keep doing this. But you look at the legend, you said you didn't want to keep playing the cat and mouse game, and instead of signing him to a 5-year contract, 3-year contract, making him commit to something longer term at Utah, you let him walk out the door, and what does he do? This is the equivalent. Listen to this. This is the equivalent of you are the CEO at a company, and your CFO is a very good CFO. You're the CEO at Nokia, and you fire your CFO, or you don't even fire them. You just say, hey, you're getting old. I don't think you should be at Nokia anymore. Send him out. And then when you send him out, he goes and becomes the CFO at Apple. Oh, that's not good. And the first thing that he does is he goes to Nokia and says, I'm going to take that employee and that employee and that employee, and they're all employees at Apple now. As the athletic director, what you have done is open the Pandora's box for a legend at the school, the statue coach at the school, to go back to the school, take the assistants that he wants, and bring them to Michigan. So if the idiot of the day is Mark Harlan here for letting Whittingham walk, and the reprieve that I'll give him is he never could have known that the guy would end up coaching in Michigan. In the back of his brain, I'm sure Kyle Whittingham is going to go coach as the special assistant to the Chiefs. Or he loves Andy Reid, they're friends. Or he'll be a special assistant with us. He'll just be in the shadows somewhere. He'll go sit in Cancun. If I was 66 and had been paid $8 million, $6 million a year for the last 20 years, I'd probably just go sit at Cancun. That's what the athletic director, Mark Harlan, is thinking. But instead, what happens is the opposite. He goes to one of the biggest jobs in college football and begins to gut the staff for the Utes. Begins to take whatever he wants to take out of Utah and make it his own for the Blue. So if the idiot of the day is Mark Harlan, there must be, what comes up must go down. Inertia, gravity. For every winner, there must be a loser. Someone must have lost. Win-wins are very rare in this world. The winner here is Michigan. I think there are CEO types and there are analytical types in college football. I spent a lot of time recently around Gary Patterson, the old TCU coach, Hall of Famer. And he's got a brain wired to where I'll say, Coach, how's your day today? And he'll say, ooh, RPO, slot corner. Slot corner bites on an RPO. What do we do? I've got RPO. He's thinking in football at all times. He's talking nickel. He's talking quarters. He's talking cover 3. He's talking safety help. And I asked him how his day was. Like, Coach, what? He's like, I'm just thinking about how I beat Mike Leach. How do we beat Mike Leach? Like, Coach, I think we're good. I don't think you and Mike Leach are going toe-to-toe anytime soon. That's his brain. I've also been around one of the top college football coaches in the country in the last few months. And I sat down with this guy. And I started asking him some football questions. Like, hey, slot corner versus an RPO. How do you play that? And and this guy looks at me, high-profile coach, national championship winning coach. And he goes, man, here's the deal. If you got slot corner against the RPO, problem is you got water in your boat. You got to get that water out your boat. You know why, son? I was like, what? Well, because that boat's going to sink if you got water in your boat. What does that mean? What does that have to do with the slot corner against the RPO? It's like, Coach, what about too high safety look? How do you teach a quarterback? Where's the quarterback's eyes going? Man, we say something in our program. You got a too high safety look, your quarterback, you got to think about this. You know how all those kids say, YOLO? That crazy little YOLO thing, you only live once. I got to say, our quarterbacks, YODO. You only die once. What? Coach, I asked about too high safety. Yeah, you only die once. It's just changing the YOLO thing. And what I've learned in the last 6 months is truly, genuinely, there is a distinct difference in college football, specifically college football, between the CEO, recruiter, coach, and the analytical mind, and the actual genius. There is the coach that walks into a recruit's home, and he looks at the mom of the recruit, and he says, may I put my coat on your coat rack, on your hook, on your hanger? And what that is that is a trick to show comfortability, to show that I feel welcome here, to show that I feel like I'm family here, to sit down and have a meal. That's the CEO recruiter. And then there's the coach that says, let's work on the 4-2-5 from the back up. What I think we have a situation of at Michigan is that they just won with the football coach who's not going to tell you to get the water out of your boat, with the football coach who's not going to say you only die once, but with the football coach who's going to analyze the 4-2-5 and say, how do we work our defense back to front? Who's going to look at the offense and say, how do we build a dynamic quarterback? How does Bryce Underwood fit into this? How does Jason Beck, the offensive coordinator at Utah, translate from the Utes to the Big Ten in Michigan? Can he bring Devin Dampier? Can Dampier, the quarterback at Utah, compete with Bryce Underwood? How can we go? He said it in his press conference. He said, we want to win a national championship. We understand year in and year out, the playoff is the goal. At Michigan, you must make the playoff. I think Ohio State, I think Ryan Day, that's the CEO type. Toe-to-toe, Michigan just hired a better head coach than Ohio State has. Michigan just hired a coach with focus, with poise, with experience, with winning at the highest level. And I know Ryan Day has a national championship, and Kyle Whittingham, who's been at Utah, who started his career at a Mountain West school, Utah, built him into the Pac-12, built him to the Big 12, won Pac-12 championships against USC, won games in the Pac-12 against mighty Oregon. That guy's the head coach at Michigan, and I think he's going to work out better than what Ryan Day has at Ohio State, and Ryan Day's won a national championship. How on God's earth, how did Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan, luck his way into this one? Because your head coach, allegedly, held a butter knife to himself while threatening his mistress, who's on his staff at Michigan, allegedly. Plenty of things to work out in court there. Would like day one of the Drake Toll Show to stay on the air. All of this is alleged. How do you go from that guy holding butter knife to self, threatening mistress allegedly, to we just hired maybe the most underrated coach in college football? How do you fail forward so well if you're Ward Manuel? And like Ward's on my I have a short list. I'm a maniac. I have a short list of ADs in the country that I think that just aren't getting it done right now. Ward Manuel's probably on that list, but he fails forward into Kyle Whittingham. And you're about to learn, if you didn't know, Matt Campbell to Penn State, Kyle Whittingham to Michigan, those are the winners. But for every winner, there is a
Idiot of the Day.
And that idiot of the day, the idiot of the day, Mark Harlan, for letting Kyle Whittingham walk. And all the reasons I just gave you on why he's going to win at Michigan, he would have won at Utah. He would have done it at Utah, and he wanted to do it at Utah, the school that he's always done it at. But the athletic director said, nope, I'm going to take a chance on the defensive coordinator who's never won a game as a head coach. I'm going to take a chance on that guy, hope for the best. Fingers crossed, baby. We'll see. If it goes well, I will be surprised, to say the least. Coming up, crazy Boston sports fan joins the show, whoever that is. This is the Drake Toll Show. Fun stuff, everybody. Nice. What happened there? That was hilarious. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Cool. Hey, Addie, what's up?
Hey, we needed to. I texted. This is why I really wish I could talk to you some way or another. We needed to end that with like this segment was sponsored by Robinhood. You expect?
Gotcha. Thank you, Laura. Yep, all good.
Do that next segment.
Yep,
Just end it with that.
let's do it next segment. That sounds good to me.
Okay, cool, awesome. That's it. Good job.
That was. Hello to the YouTube world and the Twitter world. Welcome to the Drake Toll Show. This is day one, which is super fun, by the way. What I love is in these breaks, I get to just read the comments that you guys are like Drunkle Sam or Spencer. There's a YouTube channel. JM Ramos. Ramos? Nice. Joe Dunn. Yeah. Just an awesome opportunity. Oh, wow. All right. Laura, you still got me? Cool. I've got a guest coming in on StreamYard here for us in this segment. So you won't have to change anything. He'll just be in our StreamYard. Nice. Thank you. All right. Yep. Hey, StreamYard guests, check your mic.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow. They said they love it out in California.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. This is going to be good. I haven't told my boss that we're doing this. So we're supposed to... What's up, Laura? It's the best that they don't know. 100%. All right, Cam, our rejoin here is going to be a minute-long song. So we'll sit through that. We'll just kind of headbang for a bit, and then Crazy Boston Sports Fan.
What have you talked about so far?
Have you not listened to the whole show?
No, I just fucking woke up.
Nice. You just dropped an F-bomb live on the air.
Yeah.
Nice. We apologize. We will fix it. That's great. I've talked about everything. Not the Pats winning the division very much. I've talked about the Bills being choking, though. Yeah. I talked about I think their window's closing. How McDermott, turmoil in the office, inability to close out games, that kind of stuff.
All right.
But you're here for the Drake May MVP. And then we'll obviously get into Celtics Bruins. Really glad to have you on the day after the Celtics and Blazers.
Tough Celtics loss.
Okay, we're a minute out. Drunkle Sam says he really hopes Birdman Larry is a regular. Say hi to Drunkle Sam, by the way.
What's up, Drunkle?
Yep. $7.90 The Bet AM just followed me on Twitter. Cardinals, Vols, and SEC. Of course, 3 things I love.
I guess that makes sense.
All right, broadcast begins in 30 seconds, it says.
Is this video stream running somewhere right now?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Twitter and YouTube. Yeah, Laura, if you'll give me when to hit it, I'll hit the rejoin.
That seems like I gotta let me know, so I'm not dropping F-bombs.
Gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning, death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh, Lord, yeah.
It's the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports. Running off the rails on a crazy train. Drake Toll with you. Across America and the Philippines, by the way. J.M. Ramos, 0109, says, good morning from the Philippines. I wonder what time it is there. On behalf of all of us in Bananas Nation, myself, the Bananas and Party Animals, fans of Banana Ball, congratulations. Day one, the coronation, the consummation. And there's no better way to do it than bring on. I had an argument the other day. Someone told me that Boston fans were the most insufferable fans in America. I said no. I personally like Boston fans. Somebody else said there was Eagle fans, Phillies fans. And I said I don't. Maybe it's a good race. And here to answer that question and plenty more, Crazy Wicked Boston fan. Crazy Wicked Boston fan, you're on the Drake Toll Show.
Oh, this is what an unbelievable surprise today. Because I did my normal Monday morning routine. I woke up and I went to Google, looked up Drake May PG-13 pictures on Google, and somehow I came to this show, and finally someone's got the balls to call the Buffalo Bills what they really are, and that is chokers. Like, no big game wins. This is not 30 years ago. They haven't even made the Super Bowl. I see them choke again yesterday. And Burkhardt and Plastic Surgery Tom are on there right after the game. Please, Tom, forgive me. Right after the game, glazing them even more. Saying, oh, these guys could meet in 5 weeks. Based on what? What, I tell you? Where is the glaze of the Bills coming from? 2 weeks ago, they had the MVP, the coach of the year. And now they can't even win their own division against a team that won 4 games last year. And they keep glazing them.
So if I can pause you, crazy, wicked Boston sports fan, it feels like the Monday after the Patriots win the NFC, or the AFC East, I should say, that you would be more focused on New England. It sounds like Buffalo seems to be top of mind.
I mean, look, AFC's champions. Not a huge deal. We don't hang those banners here. This is just the beginning of something. All right. But it's crazy to me. We've just anointed this Bills team. The biggest thing that we like about this Bills team is that the Chiefs are not there. I'm not worried about anybody in the AFC. Not a single team. Not with number 10 at quarterback.
So that's the thing. I was told in August by a fraternity brother of mine who I don't hold in that high of esteem. He said, I think Drake May will be an MVP candidate at the end of the year. I think that I used the term idiot of the day for him on that day in August. Can you, wicked Boston sports fan, make any sort of case for Drake May to actually be the NFL or be an MVP in this league?
Yes, I can. And here's the simple thing. He's the best quarterback in the league. What more do you need? Oh, you need value? Is that what you need? Value in most valuable player? How about a team that was 4-13 last year, now sitting there at 13-3 and winning the AFC East and dethroning last year's MVP as the divition winner? How about that? Is that okay with you? Is that enough for you? Is that enough value? We're the best quarterback in the league. Based on what? Based on what? I mean, did you watch it yesterday? 5 touchdowns, 90% completion percentage, lead the league completion percentage.
Do I need to watch it against the Jets? Do I need to?
That's who they're playing.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around, if a stat's logged against the Jets and no one's around.
See, we do this. We say it's an any given Sunday league until it's the Patriots. Then it's not an any given Sunday league. And they're playing a bunch of soup cans, and it doesn't mean anything. I know. That's how I know we're back. That is how I know we're back, Toll.
It has everything to do with the Jets and nothing to do with New England. Anybody playing the Jets, you could play the Giants.
What do you want me to say? You want me to say the Jets are good? The Jets suck. The Jets always suck. They put on that uniform and they suck. They do the same thing every year. What do you want?
I'm watching.
It's the same team in the same division that Josh Allen couldn't win this year. I'm just saying.
I get that earlier in the. I get that we saw last night the Bills lose in a game the Patriots weren't involved in when New England went and beat the Jets. I haven't slept that much since December 14th when they lost to Buffalo, and they lost to Buffalo at home. I remember the game earlier in the year on the road.
Lost at home.
What have you done? What have you done for me lately? Right against the Buffalo Bills.
Well, that's that. I mean, now we're really moving the goalposts here. I mean, what is lately?
What
the
about
last
the
25 years, I can give you a bunch of good stuff they did against the Bills.
What about the last 25 days? Let's go from years to days here. I think it's a much different story.
Okay, last 25 days, New England Patriots, AFC East Championships 1. Buffalo Bills, AFC East Championship 0.
Now, he's got a point. I will give it to Buffalo.
I got all the points. I'm a 4-point Sheridan here. Of course I got the points.
New England wins the AFC East, but I'm still not positive. A same New England team that, yes, they scored 31 against Buffalo. The run game was there against Buffalo on Sunday, December 14th. But you allow 35 points. I get it. Drake May is Drake May. Very good quarterback. I would not go on to say he's the best quarterback in the league, but a very good quarterback. Top 3 quarterback in 2025. No doubt. No doubt. But what gives me the faith that even New England in a postseason game at home in Foxborough can beat Buffalo? And I said it. There's something about Josh Allen. It's like he's incapable when the moment gets brightest in late season scenarios to finish, to win. No doubt. 100%. We see it against the Chiefs. We see it every year in the postseason. But I did just watch him win a game in New England. And there's a very good chance these two teams play a game in New England again in the postseason. What is going to be different?
You'll have Milton Williams in that game. You'll have Bobby Spillane in that game. And I tell you, when it comes down to a final drive scenario with that guy Allen, you saw it last night. Who's he going to? And I know Allen effed that up himself. But who's he going to when the game's on the line?
Probably he's likely throwing the ball to the third row of the stands.
Yeah.
The line. There's a very good chance that that's what's going to happen.
There's no 21-point comeback Milton Williams in there. No 21-point comeback Bobby Spillane in there. And they'll be in that game if that's the game.
I think it might be the game.
That might be the game.
How?
I'd rather play Buffalo than Houston.
Yeah. Why?
You can move the ball against Buffalo. The Eagles had a hell of a time showing it to you the second half, but you can. You can.
How much of this credit for the AFC East do you give Gerard Mayo?
Are you serious? Are you... I haven't even had my second Dunkin' yet. You're asking me if Gerard Mayo gets credit for this?
How much? Scale of 1 to 10.
Gerard Mayo, man. -69. He gets none. He gets absolutely none. They should have hired Vrabel last year. This should be the second in a row. We just had to... I don't know, man. Was that for the fans? Was that for us? Was that to humble us a little bit? I don't know. Was that what it, like, to show us what a dysfunctional franchise looks like? Cost players one for a year? I don't know. Gerard Mayo gets 0. None.
If Gerard Mayo gets 0, how much do we give Robert Kraft?
0.
Also 0. Okay.
Should have hired him last year.
Crazy Wicked Boston fan, we got 5 minutes left here. Give me your closing 30-second thoughts on the Patriots AFC East division winners, and then we'll get into the other Boston sports teams that most certainly exist.
Look. It was a nice sabbatical. You know, I needed this in my 40s here. I needed people to see what the sports landscape could look like when we weren't dominating everything. You know, we gave the Bills their chance. Didn't quite grasp it. Gave the Knicks their chance. Didn't quite grasp it. Gave the Yanks their chance. Didn't quite grasp it. But when the Pats are back, everybody's back. The Celtics are too good. Like, they can't tank. The Red Sox, if John Henry ever gets his head out of a cranium, they'll win again. It's so right there. Roman Anthony's the future of this league. And the Bruins, but the Pats are back. Number one, end all be all. Pats are back. Like, the refs are against us. ESPN is against us. Everyone's thinking of reasons of why the Pats are going to lose and why they're not good enough. Like, we are so firmly back. It is America's worst nightmare.
Yeah, it was pretty key for me to push back on you. But I'll say in closing, when it comes to New England, I agree. They're a Super Bowl contender officially. Is that Propel? Is that Propel? Crazy Boston sports fan. Only the strongest stuff. Before we get you out of here, Celtics Trailblazers. Any thoughts on that contest?
Professional sports games in Oregon don't count. That's not even a real place. That doesn't count.
I think that the former head coach of the Blazers would probably agree with you. they shouldn't count for anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Celtic legend.
State of the Union for the Celtics. Is this year a championship caliber roster? Because you're still 10 games above 500.
Look, this is so classic Celtics too. Like, just everyone thought they were going to suck. They should have sucked. And they can't do it. It's not in the Celtic DNA right now. You know, they can't suck. They can't tank. They can't get that top 5 pick to pair with Tatum when he comes back. They just can't do it. They're too good. They draft a 18-year-old at the time. Draft this 18-year-old kid out of Spain, averages 4 points a game, comes in here, is just making plays. Just making steals, dunking on people. Hugo Gonzalez, like one of the bright young stars in the league. They can't lose. Except exhibition games in Oregon. That's it. Jaylen Brown, was it 9 straight, tied Larry Legend, 9 straight 30-point games. And now you're talking about Tatum coming back. Now you say Tatum, March, April. How you feeling, bud? How you feeling, kid? See, you're already working out. Let's take you back out there. Look, is this a championship team? Any team that puts Celtics across their chest is capable of winning a championship. All right? Like, that's just in the DNA. But this Eastern Conference sucks. It sucks. Where are the Knicks? This is the all-in Knicks. They suck. They don't even have a better net rating than the Celtics do. And this is the tankier Celtics. Okay? And the all-in Knicks. Cleveland, mess. Absolute mess. Indiana, they're down their star player too. They're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. They're out tanking the Wizards, man. They could win the Eastern Conference, Drake. They could win the Eastern Conference. If you bring in Tatum in April, they could totally do that.
We did obituaries earlier, and we mourned the loss of amateurism in college athletics, NBA players playing in college basketball. Let's mourn the loss of the 2025-26 Bruins hockey season.
Oh,
you have a minute.
Come on.
There's no chance.
Come on.
It's done.
Look, everything's going great. All right. I don't know about you, but some of us real sickos in a real hockey town, we've been watching the World Juniors. Will Zellers, 3 goals in 2 games, Bruins prospect. James Hagen's all over the ice, BC kid, Bruins prospect. All right. They got people what they wanted this year. They got a couple of fights. They got some competitive games. Now they're going to lose, and that's okay because the Leafs keep losing too. There's 2 great things in life. That's the New York Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs, man. The Leafs keep losing too. You know you're going to be better than them. You've got their first-round pick, top 5 protected, and you've got your own first-round pick. You could be having 2 top 10 picks this year ahead of schedule on the retool. I feel great about the Bruins. I feel great about the Bruins.
You pushed back on obituary, and then you gave me a complete.
I'm just saying this is exactly where we want to go. This is exactly where we want to go.
This year. Right, but for this year, the obit is still accurate for 2025.
Tank is on.
Thank you. Yes, that's
I'm
what
in.
I was wondering. He is crazy Boston sports
Leafs
fan.
are dead. Leafs need an obit. That franchise is dead. Dead as a doornail.
Originally is from Winthrop, moved to Provincetown for a couple years. We won't talk about those years.
I made a.
Now he lives in that one.
I was trying to get to Providence. Trying to move out of the state.
Lives in that one slide in downtown Boston that cop slid down that one time. You can find him there in a blanket. Crazy Boston sports fan, thank you very much.
Yeah, whatever.
There he goes. It's the Drake Toll Show. Coming up, remember that fan that DK Metcalf punched? Remember him? You know him. Ryan Kennedy is his name. He has a name. And he held a press conference this weekend. It might be, I might add, an idiot of the day. It's time to take him to the Morning Wood Shed. Morning Wood Shed. This is the Drake Toll Show. All right, Laura, I'm running the restroom real quick if that's okay. All right, Drunkle Sam, that was for you. Spencer, those who are following along on Twitter and YouTube, it's finally time to go tinkle. BRB. All right. Okay, Laura, I have returned. If I Robin Hood, it's Robin Hood. Great. Do we have another break that we have to add in here? Yeah. It's a good Pregunta right there. Because I know we missed that one. I don't know if we have to do it. Oh. That was some crazy yapping, by the way. I don't even know how I did that. Thanks, Laura. I pulled my best Jim Rome. Missed my break. I know I'm already hosting plenty. This is enough. Oh, cool. Great. Awesome. How much more time do we have here? Cool. May not mean much, but 350 people watching online. Which for day one of a show that didn't exist yesterday, I'll take. Oh, nice. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, look, day one of the rest of our lives, right? Hi, Bear. We are on air. Nothing's gone wrong yet. I say yet with hoping that we don't jinx it. That's true. Okay. Yep, I have to do the read. That part has gone. One minute. Great. Hi, Papa. What? You getting down? Come see me. Sweet. Yep. Cue me whenever you want to rejoin and I'll hit it.
Drums keep pounding a rhythm to the brain. La-da-da-da-dee.
It is the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization, Locked On Big 12. College football kickoff. I gave some sort of speech at the ring ceremony at my high school my junior year. You may know me from that. That could be what it is. Otherwise, it is day one of the rest of our lives on the Drake Toll Show here. Earlier, I gave you my idiot of the day. And I'm limiting myself to one singular idiot of the day. I'm trying to, at least. And then these things happen. Things that make me incredibly... I I don't know if there's an emotion. I may have to invent a new emotion for this. I'll give you some context before I play the audio. And if you're watching on the Drake Toll Show YouTube, that's right. The Drake Toll Show YouTube. We're live. Like there is an option for listeners to join the show via video call. You can zoom into the show. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll figure that out. We'll figure it out. The context I'm going to give you here is DK Metcalf punches, hits, gives a little smack to a fan last weekend. That fan, we now know his name. He has come forward and told us who he is. And this guy, Ryan Kennedy, who was punched by DK Metcalf, decided to host a press conference over the weekend to give his thoughts. Because Metcalf would come out and allege that Kennedy had said something racial. And that's the only reason that Metcalf would have ever put his hands on him. Here's what it sounded like when the response from Kennedy came down the pipeline during his press conference.
It is really hard to get me upset, but there's two things: animal abuse, racism. Like, I get hot right away. Like, I can feel it in my face. It's all warm. So I guess I want to be crystal clear about one thing. I didn't use any racial slurs, no hate speech. I mean, none of that stuff at the game. Actually, never. 15 years season ticket holder for the Lions. I've never done that at all. So, to Kalen, if you're watching this, man, if you could just say that, please. Like, my family's getting threats and stuff, and it's not cool. So, whether you said that or not, I'm sure you didn't want that to happen to the family. Even if you did, like, I forgive you, man. Okay, that's all I got. Stunning work from Ryan Kennedy. He opens, first, this is a fan of the Detroit Lions hosting his own press conference. And he opens this statement with, I hate racism. Like, understatement of the century. He comes out, it's almost one of those things that when you say it out loud, it makes you sound worse. When you open it with, I'm going to come clean. I want to be super honest with you guys. I don't like racism. Like, stand up and clap for my man Ryan Kennedy. But worse is he kind of stutters through this. Listen again at the beginning of this. It is really hard to get me upset, but there's two things: animal abuse, racism. Like, I get hot, right?
I never could have guessed. He'd be like, hey, two things here. I'm waiting for it. Like, racism and murder. Yeah, I can get behind that. Those two things also make me upset. I was waiting for, like, hey, I hate racism and I really hate discrimination. Like, dude, yes, Ryan. But he hits me in his press conference about DK Metcalf giving him a little punch. He's like, dude, I hate racism and animal abuse. Of all of the things you could choose to make you upset, not like, hey, I hate racism and genocide. I'm with you there, Ryan. You're speaking my truth right now. I hate racism, animal abuse. Outside of that, pretty much fair game. Hey, I look, I'm going to come clean. I hate racism. And when AI dilutes pawns, hate it. Those two things get me hot. I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, one thing you should know about me, I'm going to get mad at racists and gas prices. That's it. Those are the two things that they will get me 10 times out of 10. Look, if you are a racist, that's bad. But if you're breaking the 10 Commandments, also bad in my book. Everything else is kind of fair game. I didn't know who he was. The beauty of Steve Bartman, who didn't get punched, by the way. This is just another, like, infamous fan moment. The beauty of Steve Bartman is Steve Bartman didn't ask to be famous. He didn't hold a press conference. He went into the shadows. To this day, he is still hiding. Somewhere out there, Steve Bartman is listening to this show. On our station in Boston, on our station in Sacramento, on our station in Des Moines, Iowa. Steve Bartman is somewhere listening. He didn't want attention. The fan, Ryan Kennedy, got hit.
DK alleges that he said something racist. And here's the deal. I somehow in my heart of hearts, this is so extreme, holding your own press conference as a fan with your lawyer sitting next to you wearing a backwards Detroit Lions hat. This is so absurd that I kind of believe him. I am, Ryan, you have me on board. I now believe you that you aren't a racist. Thank you for clearing it up. And now DK Metcalf, the onus is on you to come out and say two things. If DK wants to do the right thing, he will say two things. One, that my friend Ryan did not say anything racist. And two, animal abuse is bad. If DK Metcalf has the courage to do the right thing, he will make a clear stance on both racism and animal abuse. He calls him Decalen in this. I didn't know. Again, when I went to Baylor University, I was a PR major. I showed up on campus and I really wanted to be a journalism guy in radio, in TV, bust my chops doing something like that. They only had PR. So there I am building boilerplates and media campaigns, graphic design, invigorating. But what I learned is the last thing you do in a moment of crisis, in a PR situation of an emergency, is come to the podium and say, I hate two things and only two things. It's racism and animal abuse, and your name is Decalen. If there was any way for America to turn on a guy that they already didn't really care about, this is the way to do it. No one was thinking about Ryan Kennedy in this moment. No one was thinking, wonder who that fan is. I'd like to know more about him. How long has he had season tickets? So I get how behind the scenes, if DK is very public that the reason he did this is because you said something racist, then maybe you sue. But in the court of law, a jury of your peers, if you want to be taken for serious, you probably don't hold your own press conference with a backwards Lion's hat. That is just my 2 cents for what we've probably already thrown out the window in a world of opportunity for Ryan Kennedy, who is now part of the Idiot of the Day. I am taking Ryan Kennedy to the Morning Wood Shed. The Morning Wood Shed. And DK Metcalf, who deservedly got suspended. If I can give you any advice, as if you're an NFL player, it's be wise with your money and don't hit fans. That I'm sure Ryan, that's on his list of things that get him hot of his two. It's on my list, no doubt. I am perturbed. Maybe that's the only emotion I can use to describe what Ryan Kennedy gave to me as one of our idiots of the day, sitting right there next to Mark Harlan. And there was a laundry list of people that I could have gone to. Josh Allen spiking the ball. Caleb Williams misses an open receiver as good as Caleb Williams was. It was like, man, does he deserve to be in that category? Gave you Mark Harlan, who let Kyle Whittingham walk to Michigan. But this instance of oddity is strange. Another one that I thought was pretty incredible this week comes from Louisiana Tech. They're playing in a bowl game, and if you've followed college football, if you were listening at the top of the show, I told you that I think college football is alive and well, and I think the bowl system is still alive and pretty darn well based on what I saw this weekend, the games that I watched this weekend. If you're a real college football fan, you are subscribing to the idea college football is not dead. We can still enjoy it for what it is during bowl season because we're still getting great games like we did last weekend. Part of the bowl season, you get 15 extra practices. So Notre Dame opting out, they missed 15 practices. Another part of bowl season is this camaraderie you get to have with your friends. Like in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. They're naming these bowl games crazier and crazier things. Hey, if I'm Ryan Kennedy, I'm coming to the podium saying only two things make me hot. Racists and weird bowl names. And in this Independence Bowl, Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, 6-6 Coastal Carolina, 7-5 Louisiana Tech. Here's the audio of when Sonny Cumbie, the Louisiana Tech head coach, was tasered. Tasered? You judge.
Your mind and we'll root for you. Get all your toes when you meet your foes and
Mostly just screaming. And this is a reminder of something I think we all need to wrap our head around. Dudes rock. Once again, proven, dudes rock. Idiot of the day in a good way. Sonny Cumby taking a taser from what looked like a member of law enforcement in the Independence Bowl for almost no reason other than to fire his team up. You can listen to You Better You Bet, and you should. I'm hoping that they give you Louisiana Tech minus however many points Las Vegas wants to. It's 7 right now. La Tech minus 7. No, it's moved. Open at 7. It's 9.5 now. This isn't the betting show. I'll give you some betting advice after I watch their head coach just get tased for the love of camaraderie, for the art of team. Give me Louisiana Tech minus 9.5 against Coastal Carolina tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. And once again, a reminder, the bowl season's not dead. This was a good day for obituaries and idiots of the day. Namely, after what we got yesterday in the NFL. And the amount of people who keep telling me bowl season doesn't matter, and they're consistently proven wrong when teams go to bowl games and actually try. It's only a broken system if you believe in your heart that it is. And if you believe in your heart that it's a broken system, I don't know if you're correct. Coming up, there's one story nationally that I turn my TV on, I turn the radio on, I get in the car, and I'm not hearing it. No one's talking about it. I don't understand why a Power 4 team won 11 games, now 12 games this year, and wasn't considered for the college football playoff. A team that has 23 wins in 2 seasons wasn't considered, at all considered, for the college football playoff. I would like to understand why. Maybe you can help me understand why. But first, I ever told you that when I was a child, I was saved by Robinhood? Today's show is sponsored by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. It's different. It's Robinhood. It's awesome. Coming up, who got left out? Why did they get left out? Is it deserved? This is the Drake Toll Show. Oh, what's up? Sorry, Laura, I was zoned out. Okay, not panicking. Got you. Let's see. Oh, I see what she's saying. Yep. Yep. I got it. Yep. Music Monday. That'll be fun. Wow, it's silence. Yeah. Nice. Okay. That's fine. No, that's all cool. What's interesting is, so we're 405 people that are watching on either Twitter or YouTube, which is cool and great, and more people on Westwood that are consuming the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One. But they can't hear until I become a crazy master person of figuring out how to send it to them. They can. Yeah, the radio, they got it. But the StreamYard YouTube folks don't have commercials in the middle of it, so they just get silence too. So honestly, unless I'm talking to them, which I am right now, so honestly, it's pretty cool that like now I get to hear what they're hearing, which is just eerie silence. Oh, nice. Everything we have 20 minutes to the end of the show, and everything has gone right so far, ish. Not sure if I was ready for that. This has nothing to do. Like I believe in you. I believe in Addie. I'm not sure if I believed in myself, but we're here. And we're in commercial break. That's beautiful. And tomorrow we have Poindexter, right? Two minutes. Love it. Yeah, for the YouTube and Twitter world. So there was a spot in the middle of the show where we were supposed to go to a 5-minute break, which, by the way, if you've ever done 3 hours of radio, you probably haven't. But if you have, you would know that the 5-minute breaks are awesome. They give you a chance to, reprieve a little bit. But in the middle of, from 7:20, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. We had to skip our 7:40 break, 7:35 break. So from 7:20 to 7:54:50, we were on the air without reprieve. 34 minutes? I don't even want to listen to myself that long. Poor America. Minute 15. Awesome. One minute. Okay. Last segment, best segment. And then I am, if it's okay with you, Laura, after this segment's over, I'm going to go get a beer. 2 beers. Yep, dos cervezas. Sweet. You give me the go and I'll fire away. Yep.
I got a sweet little baddie and she's rolling in the caddy with me.
It's the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports. I'm Drake Toll. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. New Year's. Precipice. I feel it. Do you feel it? Like you turn your radio dial. I was surprised to see. I was looking at the list of cities that we're in on Westwood One Sports. It's a lot, by the way. And it's from Boston to, Fargo, North Dakota. Butte, Montana. Somebody in Butte, Montana is listening right now. Craig in Butte, Montana. If I nailed that, come on. There's this world, which now look, I want to be very clear. The Drake Toll Show with Drake Toll is available on YouTube. It's available on Twitter. You can watch it, right? It's got a video element to it. You can listen to it on podcasts. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not the one who knows how it works, but you can listen to the show afterward on podcast. You can listen on the Westwood One app or on the website. There's so many ways to listen. But for me, if I may be so bold, I think the best way to do it is just to turn your radio on almost anywhere in the country. And bam, from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, you've got it. This is for the early risers, for the ones who are getting up and going to work, for the ones who are going to school with their kids, for the kids to learn. I'm going to tell you how to be a genius at the water cooler if you'll listen. I'm going to tell your kids how to be a genius at school if they'll listen. And if you'll listen together, we'll all be geniuses. Now, here is the take. Here is what I'll leave you with from day one of the Drake Toll Show. There is a travesty in college athletics that starts with 3 letters. BYU. And you probably haven't heard a lot about this because I turned my TV on the last month or so. I'm turning the radio on. I'm turning the podcast on. And what I'm not hearing from anybody nationally is BYU, those 3 letters. And I'm confused because BYU was omitted from the college football playoff. They were an 11-1 team in a Power 4 conference. And what you're saying to yourself right now is, yeah, but they're BYU. Yeah, but like the eye test, like they're not as good as Notre Dame, or they're not as good as Miami. They're BYU. There's no way they should have gotten in over Alabama. There's no way they should have gotten in over Oklahoma. But if that's your take, and I know that's what you've heard, I'd like to ask you, I would like to ask you, is this a statement you're making where you're actually watching college football? Because there's a difference from people who actually watch BYU or college football and watch the games, and a difference from those who watch it and those who regurgitate what they hear on the radio or on TV. So how can you tell me? Can you tell me? And this is a conversation I have not heard nationally. I've been chomping at the bit to get this show started to ask the question to you, the listener, to you in Milwaukee, to you in Redmond, to you in Baton Rouge. How a team goes 11-1. They're 3-0 against ranked opponents not named Texas Tech. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going to omit Texas Tech from their resume for a second. I'll tell you why. I know that's cheating, but I'll tell you why. They're 12-0, 3-0 versus ranked opponents, 4-0 versus teams with 9+ wins, 6-0 versus teams with 8+ wins. They are 23-4 in 2 years. And this is one of the strangest stories in all of sports. Now, yes, they lost to Texas Tech, who's number 4 in the country. But here's what I know about that. It means BYU could very well be the number 6 team in the country, number 7 team in the country. And you're sitting in your car right now. You're sitting in the office. You're sitting somewhere and you're saying, that's stupid. If you lose to number 4 and you get blown out, you're probably not the number 5 team in the country, number 6 team in the country, number 8 team in the country. You're probably way further than that. Oh. Here's why I'd like to poke a hole in that. Do you remember? Do you remember when Clemson went to the national championship game and beat Alabama by 20? That was during the college football playoff era. Bama was good enough to win a playoff game. They were probably the second best team in the country. But they were still 20 points behind Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. Well, do you remember when Ohio State's gone to the national championship game? Do you remember when Alabama's gone to the national championship game against Ohio State and blown them out? There's a very good chance Ohio State, who won a playoff game, is the second best team in the country. They're still 20+ points worse than the number 1 team. We live in a college football world where teams who are separated by 20 points on any given Saturday, can be right next to each other in the rankings. And before you tell me that I'm wrong and before you think I'm crazy, I'm asking you to open your mind to what I'm saying. That the number 1 team in America won a college football playoff game, went to the national championship, Clemson. The number 2 team in America won a college football playoff game, went to the national championship, Alabama. And Clemson beat that Alabama team, beat their brakes off. There is a 20-point gap right there, right, from number 1 to number 2. So who's to say for BYU, there are only 2 losses this year, or to the same Texas Tech team who's number 4. Who's to say, given that fact, BYU isn't number 5? And so then you'll say metrics. EPA efficiency, strength of record, strength of schedule. May I lend me your ear? BYU had a better overall record, 11-1, than Notre Dame, who was 10-2. Better overall record, 11-1, than a team in Miami that was 10-2. Miami's 2 losses were to SMU and Louisville. What do you know about SMU and Louisville? Probably not much. What do you know about Texas Tech? Probably more. Probably not enough, but more. BYU had a better record. The strength of record for BYU was 6 spots ahead of Miami and Notre Dame. The strength of schedule for BYU was ahead of Miami and Notre Dame. But when the selection committee met, it's the same BYU team that beat Georgia Tech. A gutsy win against Georgia Tech. And that's a Georgia Tech team that, with 3 weeks left in the season, we thought would be in the playoff. It's a very good Georgia Tech team. So I pose the question to you. How did we omit the 11-1 Power 4 team with a better strength of schedule, better strength of record, and better record? How did we omit them in the playoff, but Miami and Notre Dame were the conversation pieces? I'm not even worried about Tulane and James Madison. This is not part of that conversation. That will be had later. I'm asking, based on what, could that team be left out? We just saw them win on Saturday. Based on what, could that team be left out? And you may say, well, BYU's just worse than Miami, or BYU's just worse than Notre Dame. And my question would be, well, but how? I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the efficiencies. I'm looking at the strength of record and strength of schedule. The metrics you tell me matter, and they are worse. Notre Dame is worse, and Miami's worse than BYU in those categories. Yeah, well, BYU's the worst team. How? Because someone else told you so? Because of the eye test, the faulty eye test? For me, that's what I want the Drake Toll show to be. That's what I want this show to be. When you feel like your team, in the NBA, in the NFL, in the MLB, in the NHL, in college football, in college basketball, in college softball, in swimming, when you feel like your favorite entity, your favorite team, your favorite program is underrepresented, under-talked about, you turn on the major networks, you turn on the radio station, and you don't hear them spoken. You don't see them on the graphic. And you think, my favorite team's good. The Jaguars are good. Where do I go to hear someone tell me that? I need to hear that from a national voice. Look, I'm more than happy when the Cowboys are great, when the Lakers are great, when the Yankees are great, to wax poetic about greatness in sports. I love dynasties. I love greatness in sports. But when I see a school lose its starting quarterback in the middle of the summer due to what was reported as sexual assault, Jake Retzlaff at BYU later comes back. He says it was consensual, a consensual relationship. Everything is cleared off the table. Retzlaff at any public university could have played game one, but at BYU, because he participated in intercourse, got a 7-game suspension. It's against the honor code. You lose your starting quarterback. You bring in a freshman quarterback. That kid throws for 3,000 yards, the first freshman quarterback to do that in college football since Trevor Lawrence. Radio silence from America. That's what this show is for. Why is no one talking about this? I ask myself that about a lot in sports. Why is no one talking about this? And sure, you can turn on any program you want today. The Bills, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Patriots, 49ers, Bears. You can turn on this show, and that will all be there. But on top of that, I want to take the holes, fill the holes of what's missing, what you're not getting. That's what the Drake Toll Show is. And for the last 4 minutes of the Drake Toll Show, Addie Bates, everybody. Addie. Yeah. Lots to figure out here. Music Monday, I hear. How does this game work? It is my game, so I know how it works. Tell America how it works. Yes. What? Give me that again. Yeah. Okay. There. Okay. Addie Bates, give America the synopsis here. Thank you. Okay. Okay. I have a paper towel and I'm writing them down. Ready when you are. And America's playing along at home. Next week, America can play with me. Okay, go.
I heat up, I can't cool down.
Okay, nice. Okay, you playing all 5? You can just play all 5 here, and I'll go in order. I already got the first one. Oh, good. Okay, song number 3.
Sister cries out from her baby bed.
Okay, song number 4. Okay, song number 5. Oh, good. Okay. Our beautiful, wonderful YouTube audience and Twitter audience today cannot hear the songs of the day, which is fine. I'll still tell them to you. If you can give me all 5, rapid fire here, super quick. I think I can get this. Well, don't give me the answers. Just play them again for me, if you will.
I heat up, I can't cool down.
Okay.
cries out from her baby bed.
Okay, I'm ready. Abracadabra, Steve Miller Band. No doubt. Hungry Like the Wolf, Duran Duran. Yeah, that's a good one. Tracy Lawrence brings us Time Marches On. No doubt. I've got Come On and Dance, Steve Miller Band for number 4. Okay. Okay, now I forfeit. What is it? Return of the Mac. Nice. All right, and then Brass Monkey is by who? Beastie Boys. Good stuff. A mixture of Tracy Lawrence and Beastie Boys with Steve Miller Band was not on my bingo card for Music Monday. Next week we'll play it with the listeners. That'll be super fun. From Idiots of the Day to Obituaries to everything in between, this was one of the radio shows of all time. And you were here to help consummate it in an appropriate way. Thank you, America, for this. Beautiful. Tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time, exact same place. Westwood One Sports. We may not have changed radio today, but tomorrow, we certainly will. This has been It Always Will Be. Thanks for listening to The Drake Toll Show. All right. Thank you, Laura. Fun stuff. I guess we'll see you next Monday. Next Monday. Awesome, Laura. We'll see you then. Curtis, the rest of the week. All right. Thank you. All right, Addie, I'll give you a call. America on the StreamYard, YouTube, Twitter. Hey, thanks. Did you have fun? I had fun. This was the Drake Toll Show. Okay, love you guys. Mwah.